Hey, hello there. Good night, good evening. I am David de Hilster live, Dissident Scientist, and been so busy. Excuse me. Thinking about doing more of these live because when I put stuff together, it takes me some time. But I want to welcome everybody again. Thank you so much, my subscribers. Keep growing. Thank you very much, and greatly appreciate it. Just been busy with things. Look, here it is, my beige floor. What are these shirts that I wear that are sort of all over the place? Well, this is one samba school in Brazil. The samba schools are the ones who put on those gigantic parades, and those gigantic parades, of course, are hugely incredible. They're beautiful. There's an entire stadium called the Samba Drome for them. And actually, we have a group. I've had a group for almost 25 years, coming up in March, and it's sort of my cultural type of work that I do. Like I need to do other stuff other than my job and this. But anyways, so this is Beija Flor Samba School, which is actually hummingbird, which actually means this is kiss flower, but in Portuguese that is a flower kisser is a hummingbird, and it's one of the top samba schools in Rio de Janeiro. And my samba school, and this is their 2019 shirt. For you Brazilians out there, you know what that is. So anyways, people do ask me once in a while about that. But I'm here, of course, to talk about physics. And if you're new to the channel, if you've just subscribed, I do these Friday evening live shows now, and I do them. It seems to be somewhat popular. People come on and ask me questions and do follow it, and I do get quite a lot of people watching these afterwards, so I guess they are valuable. Maybe people listen to them while they're working at work, put them on their headphones, or while they're driving, or whatever, and get some knowledge about how to become science woke, because of course there are thousands and thousands of we critical thinkers and scientists around the world who have found problems with mainstream science, who have corrected those problems, and who are proposing new models and theories. So again, you won't find anything like this, so make sure you do go down below and click that subscribe button and little bell next to it, and you'll be alerted when our next video drops or when we go live. I haven't been announcing them because I'm not sure all the time whether I'll be doing this live or not, but here I am, and thank you for joining. And I am going to be talking tonight about something that's sort of like my sort of pet peeve, not sort of, but really is a pet peeve. And I was thinking about it, and it's sort of, I was thinking to myself, what is the thing that bugs me the most? Not the good stuff, but the thing, you know, mainstream, you know, bugs me a lot because it's so screwed up. But what is it that if I had to just let off steam and say what really, in my position as a person who's trying to get people to become critical thinkers, as a person who's pushing people to understand that there are incredible people, great scientists, not good scientists, but great scientists and great thinking minds outside of mainstream who people should know about. And I was thinking about it, why isn't this like, you know, people are going to like, oh, look at this channel. This is great. Finally, someone's criticizing mainstream. It's so stupid. It's so theoretical, of mumbo jumbo, that when I look at it and I even try to get close to understanding it, it seems paradoxical. It seems like there's lots of problems that they seem to ignore. When they talk, it's double talk. You don't really know. There's no physicality. The Big Bang, they got problems with that. Particle physics, the theoretical physics, quantum mechanics, oh my gosh. Even plate tectonics, the idea that because if you do know about expansion tectonics, you're trying to think to yourself, why isn't expansion tectonics being taught in the schools? You know, and relativity, of course, which is a real problem. You know, why isn't this like channel blowing up and having, you know, getting 1,000 new subscribers a day? Because no one else out there is doing this. Is it fear? What is it? What is it that makes us, in fact, you know, why aren't we going viral with this whole idea that, hey, there are all these scientists out there who are really pushing science forward, and that physics and cosmology in theoretical physics, in models. What's really happening is well outside the mainstream. People are working in great stuff, but why? I'm almost like the only guy doing this. It's not that there are other people with channels that talk about their work or talk about their bent on their work, or they talk about stuff, various things. I know there's the one guy who does I think he's doing pretty well. He does way better than I do, because I think he's hooked up with the Electric Universe people and Star Scholar or something like that. And he started about the same time I did, and he's getting a lot more people than I do, because again, I think he's from the Electric Universe people. But why is it, I get frustrated because I have all these ways for us to put all the information together for us to really break open in the world. I've got all these ideas and of how to do this. I actually have a lot of them implemented, a lot of them sitting there waiting for it. I've got a Wikipedia, we've got forums, we have the website, we have our conferences, and I have sciencewoke.org, which is going to be really great, because it's going to really address what we're talking about here, the problems in mainstream science. So those people are sort of thinking, well, big science may be a big problem. Are they pulling the wool over our eyes? Yes, they are. How can I get into it? But it's like pulling teeth to get people to help out with that. They're either working on their own theories, or they're fighting amongst themselves, or they're discussing until you turn blue in the face. And that's what I'm going to talk about today. I'm going to try to figure out and talk through why aren't more people on this doing this? Why? And I know one of the things is that people are going to say, "Oh, Dave, there are." Whoops! Look, I'm watching here on the phone. There are more. There are people out there. I know there's Draft Science, but his Draft Science, I'm sure he could even be watching now. It's a little different technique. It's more like a shock jock for science. And there's a lot of just, I don't know, bitterness and yelling and sort of, you're not going to win anybody over by doing that. I mean, everybody to each their own. But why is it that, we don't have an army of people trying to work on this and get it out there? And I think, I've thought about this today in the last few days. Well, let me take a look. I've got Lisa Harmon. Hey, there she is, Lisa. Been watching your videos now and there. They're nice and short, so I'm in the car driving. I'll pop them in once in a while and watch or listen to them while I'm driving. Let's see here. Good night. Good evening to M here, MX25A. I hope I read that right. Lisa, I think you've been really doing well with your subscribers. Don't be so. I'm not hard on myself. That's okay, Lisa. I'm not here to be in a pity party for me. I'm actually not at all interested in that part of it. I'm more interested, like, why. Well, I'm going to talk about it. Let me just get to some of these questions or comments, because the world would be has been dumbed down. Yeah, there's something to that. It's really quite amazing to me how we avert truth. We have supposedly the most advanced technology and technological state of human beings now, and yet our physics and cosmology are absolute disarray. We've been off track since 1905, and Einstein was the one who started that, and the people around him started this being off track since well over 100 years. We're in a unicorn world where nothing's real, and we keep making systems upon systems, making up stuff that doesn't work. And yet we have a group of people who actually are working on this, and people are not paying attention. We have things like diet, which we know, oh, we need a cure for cancer. Well, why is it that there are 5 blue zones in the world? Look it up, blue zone, go to Wikipedia. And those people eat basically the same thing. They basically ate what we human beings ate 100,000 years ago, because we weren't eating meat. We were meat. We were eating fruits and vegetables, 70% fruit, 30% vegetables, and we weren't eating meat. That's what our body is. Look at me. I'm almost 60 years old. I reversed my heart disease. We know that in these blue zones, they don't have heart disease. They don't have cancer. They do not have diabetes. They don't have Alzheimer's. They don't have any of that. It's our diet. We know this now. Great thing is the movement is growing. It's being huge. We're starting to know that. But why doesn't everybody? Everybody around me eats crap, and they're all taking pills and all that stuff. We know the answers to this. It's because corporations run things, people's greed. That's really the biggest problem, I think. Greed and ego are the biggest problems of human beings. People just don't want to see the truth about stuff. Politically, it's the same way. We have a civilization where we have enough riches to make every human being that's ever born have all the same opportunities. Yeah, some people are going to be game busters. Other people aren't going to do much. Some people will be artists. Some people will give the world more than others. But that doesn't matter. But a kid born on this planet, depending on where they are, there's the majority of where you're born is going to tell you the rest of the life, and it shouldn't be that way. Why? Why is it that we go along with this stuff? I mean, if you watch my movie, it's been, oh wow, look at this. Got lots of people here. Let me make sure I don't get off here. It says, I'll tell you, because people love to think that that mind alone can affect change matter, like modern physics says. Yeah, that's somewhat true. I believe that too. Dave, I like learning about the electric universe, but I'm not really fond of some of their spokespeople. What I like about you is you don't seem upset if someone doesn't agree. Very good, very good. Let me tell you, Lisa, we thrive in the CNPS, the Chappelle Natural Philosophy Society. John Chappelle was the modern guy who started this group. I continued it by becoming a president of it. I helped in the transition from what it was to somebody trying to start. I'm helping along in that process. We named it after him. This group has people who come together who can vehemently disagree. Not only that, I have friends who are, some of the people, the greatest scientists I know are creationists. And it's not because I believe they're wrong or I don't believe in a God. That's everybody's privilege. When we have in our group, the rule is you can't bring up religion in our group. We only talk about science. And how could I have my best friend in our organization who is a creationist? He has every right to be that way. He goes to those meetings with them, and they talk about science in their world, and that's totally fine. They are absolutely allowed to do that and should do that, because everybody should go with their convictions. We get together. He knows about more people's theories than anybody. And that, in a sense, is what I was going to say to all of us, including all of you. What you like in me should be what everybody should be doing. Not because Dave de Hilster is doing it, because I'm a fallible, problematic person like anybody. I don't... Look, I have told a lot of people, I'd love to be famous. You know why? Not for me, so I feel like I'm better than you, because it gives you power to do stuff. I could build a Samba school place for my Samba school, which right now we have to rent. I could have people do experiments. I could start a university that would allow people to come up and say, Einstein's wrong. We're going to have classes in that. So, yeah, I'd love this thing to go viral, and why? Because I want truth. I don't care about me. What good is fame? Fame doesn't do you any good. What really gets to me is the ability to get together in our conference and talk about things that we all disagree with and agree with. believe it or not, in the last 20 years, I have seen myself and many people all starting to go in certain directions on certain things. So us getting together and disagreeing has made our theories and models better. In fact, my dad and I's theory, we're standing on the shoulders of the people in this group of ours. Glenn Borkert. We're standing on the shoulders of Yonel Denou. We're standing on the shoulders of Newton. We're standing on the shoulders of all these other people. All of these people. So, yeah, I mean, we should. Why aren't we all trying to do something and make this known to other people? Why is it me? You know, I have the least amount of time, really. I mean, well, everybody's busy, but you know, I work full time in the supercomputer department at LexisNexis. My area of specialty is natural language processing, getting computers to understand human language. That's my day job. I also run this Brazilian Samba group for 24 years. We do big things. Did a worldwide project, for goodness. And I'm president of, in my opinion, the best society on the planet. In fact, that's one of the things on my Science Woke site, which I'm sitting there pulling my hair out, says, I need help. I scream for help. I've got base camp going. I get people, and they all like sort of, you know, like, and then they all come to me and says, Dave, no one's going to our conferences. Dave, no one's reading my work. Well, yeah, you got to spend your time. Won't we be like Picasso? You know, I am an artist. Go look at it. Dehilster.com. Yes, I'm a real artist. I've been drawing since I was 3. I love Picasso because Picasso was a person who drew reality, and he got this abstraction through reality. That's why he was so great. But you know what else made him great? He was one of the best marketers in the world. You know why? Because he'd get all the people who wanted his paintings into one room, make them sit there next to each other, and they all wanted his latest batch of paintings, and they're all bidding for him, and he made them sit next to people who hated each other, who all were fighting for his work. He did that on purpose. He was great at marketing. We gotta market this stuff. You know, I get ideas. Science Woke came from Lisa. I mean, that's you know, I want to know how atoms or whatever we model as atoms manifest physical properties like hardness, melting point, etc. Well, I can answer that. Basically, you first got to have a model. That's the first thing. You got to have a model of the way the universe is. There are several models that I would say to look at. And, you know, us explaining things, people want the answer. Right now, we are in model revolution. On the Science Woke website, at which I want to get out, but if you want to help me, anybody out there want to help me, that would be great. I mean, I know when I do these live things, I get in between 15 and 17. I've got almost 2,700 subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing. I need help. But when we get out, we have a lot of these answers. The answer comes from is you got to look at different models. Take a look at Jeff Yee's model. Jeff Yee, go to his, it's energywavetheory.org. He has a great model. His model is an ether model. Okay. You have particle model. My father's and I's model. If you go to wiki.naturalphilosophy.org, we're starting to put that model in the Wikipedia. And that will also help explain. I can only explain it, I can sort of explain it in Jeff Yee's, but I'd rather have you learn it. So the number one answer to those kinds of things is go look at one of the models. What you're going to find is you're going to have an affinity toward a model. Many people have an affinity for ether, that is the waves. Light is a wave in this ether. All these this light you're seeing is waves in a medium. And there are a lot of people out there. Again, Jeff Yee and Glenn Borkert. I'd look at that. Those two people I would recommend looking at those ether theories. The particle model, which we are still writing out there. We don't have the book. We have a book, but we're not very satisfied with it. We're working on that, and we have explanations for that as well. So we have explanations for everything. Our model will tell you exactly why, physically, why atoms and molecules stay together. What's the mechanism for that? And it's not just positives and negatives and polarity. It's not that at all. So there's all that. Dave, I appreciate the look of the videos. I just go live for 1 hour a week. and play games. Yeah, that's okay. I may just go live more often because a lot of times when I record these, I have to go through and I want to record them in a way that I'm speaking sort of clearly, and I may just have to punt on that and try to do them more live. But anyways, the physical properties of hardness, melting point, and all that, the physical manifestations come from a physical model, which the mainstream does not have. What we have are rules of thumb. For atoms, for instance, we have computer programs that work on putting them together, and there are lots of those different ones, and they are basically using tricks and little rules they have to try to model. They don't model the real physical universe, and then therefore the models that you make in organic chemistry that you want to try to make new molecules because you're an engineer that does those kinds of things, those are all tricks. They don't really know physically what's going on. They'll call it polarity, they'll call it positive and negative, but of course that's all magic stuff. That's just magic. So all those things will come from it. Yes, our model can explain all that. I think Jeff Yee's model probably will eventually, but he's I don't think as far along as we are. Let's see. As time goes by, come to find pretty much everything mainstream is wrong, and particularly backwards. I turned my TV off 20 years ago with a hammer. Best years of my life. Absolutely, I absolutely agree with you, 100%. The most frustrating thing is to turn on the Discovery Channel or the Science Channel when they're talking about physics and cosmology, because it's so far off. And you know what's so funny? Very few people, I believe that. I think people are really just fed up with that as well. And same thing when I turn on CNN and I see mainstream media feeding us stuff that a war machine here in the United States. No offense, I'm American, and one of the sickest things we do is spend $700 billion on war. We're a war machine for rich people to make money, and we bomb and we kill innocent people all over the place, and we wonder why there's terror. They know it. They know they're bombing people. They know they're creating terrorists. They just have a war industrial machine. These people aren't immoral. They're just immoral people. So when you turn on TV, you've got mainstream, and that's where I started using this term again because of Lisa was saying, and that is big science. Big science does the same thing. I can't challenge Einstein. I mean, let's take a look at, here's my website. I'm out there. We'll go here, Become Science Woke. This is the one. So science is in a revolution. Here's why. And mainstream science sees no crisis. That's what I've been writing. And here's one. It says right here in this picture here, I can't challenge Einstein at my university. I've been peppering the web with this, or the Facebook with this, like Einstein's 19 million and holding subscribers. I put this one thing that says I can't challenge Einstein at my university. I think that hits a note where they don't have an answer. They don't have an answer. They can say, well, and they don't know, because the moment they say, well, Einstein's right, he says, oh, so you can't challenge things in universities. So that seems like to be something. So anyways, I need to get that website out. I'm going to talk about that tonight. That's my thing. Yeah. Money makes people do immoral and unethical things. Human nature is good. Yeah, it really is. It really is. But they did this amazing experiment where they showed, it was this year it came out, and they showed that they had a person in the experiment. It was a psychological experiment, and experimented with people of income differences from, poor to middle class, to upper middle class, to rich, to super rich. And what they found is that they would put a person who was in a situation that needed help. A normal human being would have empathy, and they would feel sorry, and they would literally, the lower down on the pyramid the person was in the economic chain, their economic level in society, the more empathy they had. So if a person said, I don't have shoes, I'm going hungry, whatever it was, the story was, the people further down who had the least were the most empathetic. And the higher up, they literally got people who had a story that any human being would, all of us, anybody who has any conscience, would feel an empathy for. And the super rich and the real rich came out saying, well, no, okay, that's his story. Do you have anything to say about it? Oh, no. They found that as a person had, the more money a person had, the less empathy they had. And they had almost no feelings for other people. So there you go. I follow the Sky Scholar. Yeah. He's got 5K subscribers. He started, I think, even later than me. Suspicious Observers talked about him a lot. That's the way I also had found him too. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'm trying to get this out here. I think the problem is with my channel, I try, hey, if anybody out there can get me on one of those channels, great, because my goal is to get other people understanding and pointed in this direction. So, I've been trying to do that. I tried that with Draft Science. It turns out that that's not a good direction to go. Although when he talks bad about me, I get more subscribers. But I need to find some of those open doors more. I need people to help me with Science Woke, because I go in there and I have to make sure maybe I spend a half an hour every day on that thing. I'm writing all the articles. I'm writing everything. I go in there. I tell people how to do it. I've got base camp to say, hey, I need help. Nothing happens. Well, that's not true. Something happens because I do it. And it's really great. I'm on the right track. I know it. I know it. I know it. Pure science is the pursuit of truth. Major progress only occurs when we know we are wrong. Yeah. True, but not always. I mean, we have a model where we're now describing stuff. It's not that we know we're wrong. We're actually describing stuff no one ever thought about, like parallel resistors. My dad's now buying a voltmeter that can measure to 6 places, because when you put 2 resistors parallel to each other, our model says that the particles that go around that, the electricity isn't only inside, if you want to call it electricity or electrons, whatever you want to call it, we call it a different particle, and it's going around that, there's fields around it. Those fields aren't nothing, they're something, and those actually interact, and they interact in a way, and they actually pass these particles from one to another. And so it's not only that when things are wrong where you make progress. You can also have a model that where we corrected, and I saw people give physicality certain things. We put it together with infinity, the new, and my dad's model for the wave particle duality, put all those together, and you come up with something. And this starts describing stuff that for 2 years, we were amazed at how this thing was describing everything. So it was, so in that sense, it's not only the case that you do it when it's wrong. You can actually grab. Robert DeCinti too. Yeah. Kellen Wheeler. I'm just trying to, I try to get us together, but what happens often, I found with people who have channels, they're not so much interested in necessarily even cross fertile. I know the Sky Scholar has people on, but I've tried to contact him, and I think because I'm in the other group, and there's been some people in the EU group that is not exactly fans of mine, and I don't take that as an offense in any way. I don't really care, because I'm super fans of anybody who's out there trying to make critical thinkers, and they certainly are. And not only that, they're getting on board with a lot of stuff we were on board with before them. And again, these are not criticism, they're just facts. I don't know what it is. Sometimes there's territorialism. A lot of times people come on these channels like this because I want to be somebody. I want to be known. Oh, this person does this, and this person. Well, hey, I'm the guy that does this, and there's some type of necessity by that one person to have that. I wish I didn't have that at all, because I wish my father and I could be writing our book. I wish I could be writing on the website and getting this stuff together. I wish all kinds of people were doing this. I got paintings to paint, and so many things to do in life. But, I'm here because I guess I have the ability to see it, and I have, like I said, I found out this kind of talk that people like because, I don't know. But I love to talk, have DeCinti. I love to all of us sort of have a network. I know the progressives, I'm a politically progressive person, they network. They have each other on their channels. But I think there's something about territorialism, or that was the thing I was going to talk about today. I will say this. Wow, don't have a lot of people here today, but the people here are really great. 5 people here today, on and off. I'm sure people are coming in and off, but I appreciate everybody being here. I don't care how many, because a lot of people will see this obviously after this, but it's discouraging. There's be a lot of people wanting to know about this science stuff. But one of the things is we as a group, Dissident, the Sky Scholar, even Draft Science, other people with YouTube channels, all of these people, we have to start understanding that we can't continue to infight. We can't continue saying, I mean, my father and I believe our model's really good, but I'm the one trying to break it every day. I'm sorry, you know, my father and I are constantly trying to break it because we're thinking, this is working too well. It can't be this simple. Every time we think we can't describe something, we end up being able to describe it. And not only that, it tells us something we've never would have thought of before. But I don't sit there and then I say, you know, Jeff Yee, you're all wrong. You know, you're not going to hear us say in our book, for instance, when we're writing or on our Wikipedia, that ether's wrong. I've been looking at ether and particle model to see if there's something in ether, because ether, there's something inside me that says ether's wrong. Something inside me that says ether has an emotional component, and I gave a talk about it. Go watch CNPS 2018 at youtube.naturalphilosophy.org. CNPS down 2018, and I have the disingenuous phrase, ether was abandoned. And the reason I say that is because ether may not be the answer. So to say that Einstein abandoned ether is to say that ether's probably correct, and there's another model out there that I think is even better than that. But the thing is I don't have a problem with talking about even electric universes. They do a lot of things, anthropology, ancient anthropology, where they look at petroglyphs and say that, you know, Velikovsky and the Venus coming in 30,000 years ago, whatever. They should be doing that. We should allow them to do that. I mean, we should allow them. They're doing it. And if there's a lot of people who see that as valuable and think that's to what's really happened, do it. And not only do it, point people to it. I'm going to point you to it. If I have disagreements with it, I can tell you. But on this channel, that's not my idea. We have another channel called the Particle Guru, particle.guru. No comma anything. Just type in particle.guru. You get to my dad and his website and his channel, and he talks about the particle model. And you know, that's what this channel is, to talk about dissident scientists and all the scientists. The problem is that to have people support each other's, you know, what do? We have email chains. There is just email chain after email chain that I receive on the Redshift and all that stuff. I'm not going to put it up here, but let me get to you, get something, but. Email chain after email chain, and these people are great minds, all fighting each other, talking about certain things. It's lost. I try to get them on forums. It says go into forums. There's going to be hundreds of thousands of people around the world, maybe millions of people who would want to see this kind of stuff that's going on. And no, they don't do it. I've got one right here. Literally, it's the last email, and I haven't seen this for a while. And I'm going to read you some so that you guys get an idea. Let's see here. I make sure I'm Dissident Science. That is why I'm empathetic, because I'm poor. Yeah, I'm not doing great myself here. Also, Lisa Howerman. Maybe Jimmy Dore would interview you. You know, Lisa, I have really thought. I have actually been in communication with another guy here in Florida. He's Nico House. He's the guy who helped bring the lawsuit against the Democratic Party here with Beck, and I actually had communicated with him. The problem is when I go to that level, I need to have science woke sitting there ready. Anytime I go to that kind of level, people are going to want to come and read. If they come to our website right now, unless you are totally motivated, you've got to go and find papers and read them on your own, and they're not really explained in an easy way. Science Woke is absolutely for this. It is absolutely marvelous. It's a great concept. I've got it organized. I've got the structure for it because I'm a computer scientist who deals with systems, and I have it. It's all there waiting. All I need to do is have 10 of us working on it, and this thing would go in. And yeah, go to Nico House, go to all these progressive. There's people with literally millions of subscribers who are politically progressives, and they're going to say, guess what? I'm going to say, guess what? Big science is also screwing us over. And I can tell you why. And they'll get into it, but they're going to have to go somewhere. That's what they need. And yeah, and I live in Florida. I mean, people wash up on the shore here because they disagreed with the DNC. A person that I've met and talked with is Tim Canova. He is a politician who's now independent, running against Debbie Wasserman Schultz, one of the most corrupt people behind other people. And believe me, you don't want to be on the wrong side, because you end up not being drummed out, but you can end up in a much worse situation. But yeah, I'd love to talk, because I think once we do that, we could break it open. But I need to get... So my suggestion to you, here's my question for my subscribers who are here today. 5 or 6 that are coming in and out. Hey, Lisa, it's you and me today. How do I get people to help me with the website? You know, I have people, I even tell people, I said, look, people aren't going to read your stuff unless we take some time. Here's my arguments, Ben. We can sit here and argue all we want. Do you want people to read about your theory? Well, you're going to have to spend time on marketing. Picasso was one of the greatest artists, literally the artist part of it. You go look at some of his paintings at 12 and 13 years old. He was painting portraits that looked like paintings, that look like photographs practically. And that's why his abstract art is so good. But why was he? Because he knew how to market himself. He could have been painting along somewhere and no one ever sort of picked him up, and you know, he marketed stuff. We've got to market ourselves. I got a bunch of mostly older guys and older gals who are working on their own stuff. They do their own thing, and this marketing, I don't know what to do. I'll just leave that to somebody else. There's almost nobody in our group who does this. I'm the one. And when I stop, for instance, I've been busy with the Samba stuff for a month. Our whole group pretty much stops. You know, and we're doing great work. Everything's there. You know, I put together systems that make it. You can do it from anywhere in the world. What do I do to get this website off the ground? I've got the people who I need to write it. I guess I got to just bug them. I guess I got to be. That's what I have to do. I have to be dad. That's why I have Basecamp. Basecamp is something that I put a task, and I said, you guys do it. I need to get back on that. But I need to get other people involved in the process of getting this stuff out there. I mean, I can't even work with my dad on our own book, on our own website. I started the Wikipedia, you know, on the particle model. I did that. Anyways, I'm going to read you. Here's one of the things that I get all the time. This is the title of an email chain. Tired light, size of the photon, electron, and internal structure. This is great stuff. This is not mainstream people. None of these people. Almost everyone here will disagree with relativity. Almost everyone here will disagree with mainstream physics. Almost everybody. And these conversations are going on and on and on and on. I got one guy from MIT, who's Bruce Nappy, who's been trying to collect this. He has calculated that we use, I don't know, I can't remember, it's a ridiculous amount of human hours that our scientists do on these email chains, when we could use parts of this to actually make this stuff real. And they all complain to me. Why is anybody reading my stuff? It's because all you do is talk, you don't spend time marketing. So he said, you say that light transfers power, and it's only necessary to go under the sun to feel the heat. That is a good experimental description. You also give a size to photons and electrons. I agree, but only when a specific context is given. For example, when Compton's scattering light of an electron, one finds a total cross-section of a process for the process of 66.5 femtometers and 266.5 femtometers squared. So this specific process, the electron looks like a transverse diameter of 9.2 femtometers. But when scattering electrons on electrons, the differential cross-section depends on the velocity of the scattering angle. So the case... Listen to these things. These are really amazing. They're very specific. The part I don't understand is when you say the photon and electron have an internal structure. I understand this meaning different parts held together, like structures of a hydrogen atom, which is an electron and a proton held together by an electric field. For a particle with structure, there's a way to add energy to move these parts at greater distances. You know, and it says, I'm interested in if this can clarify the tired light model discussions. What's tired light? Well, it means that the red shift, that when we look up into the sky and everything's like, we think it's red shifted because it's moving away. Well, guess what? It's not. It's light being light. Light is not a thing that can, like anything in the universe. You can't shine a piece of light. You can't shine a light or a laser going through the universe. It is not going to go forever. And it's not going to go in a straight line, and it's not going. Eventually, it's going to peter out. You're not going to see it anymore, and there's effects on the way. Read Glenn Borkert. Dave, I would be happy to help, but I'm not website savvy. The best I can do is mention you on my videos. That's okay. No problem. It's not even website savvy. It's pretty easy to use. I got most of these guys, and the average age of our group, of the active people, is about almost 70, and they're all on the internet. I got them going. I make little video tutorials for them. Websites are hard. No, they're not. I'm a software engineer. How can I help? Oh, actually, it's not even software I need. I need help on content. What I need is for people to help me with articles that I know we need to write. For instance, on Redshift, we need to write on that because we have to write about things like what these guys are talking about over in these emails. So it's really more of content. I need people just to volunteer. Hey, let's go at it. I'll help you. Look up this person. Let's read it. Let's make an article. So it'd be like being a reporter. If you are out there right now, if you're one of my subscribers, whether you're listening to me live right now or you're a person listening to me recorded, what you can do is you can say, hey, Dave, I want to help. How do you help? Well, the way you help is you come in and says, look, I need to write an article like on the Redshift, or I need to write an article about Dr. Dowdy talking about how light only curves in coronas because there's mass there. Just like when you stick a stick in water and it bends, if you put light going through the corona of a sun, it will bend, but it's not not general relativity, because the moment you get outside the corona of the sun, it doesn't bend anymore. We need to write that down. We need to sort of make links to it. We need to write it in a way that pretty much anybody can understand it. I've got the entire structure there. There's nothing I don't need any help on how to organize it. I don't even need any help really on what subjects. I need help writing the things. I got to go in myself and do it and make it sound great and make it or if you're rich out there and you have a lot of money, a couple $1 million, that will keep me going for a bunch of years, a lot of years. And I will go full-time on it. And, man, this stuff will crank out, and things will really move along. So, and I'm not going to try Patreon and all that stuff. We don't have enough people for that. Let's see. I remember Lawrence Krauss freaking out, telling everyone that he wouldn't even be able to have evidence of the Big Bang unless the government gave him more money or something, yeah. All seriousness, how does background radiation prove the Big Bang? I never understood that. Oh, well, the background radiation, I think it's a lot simpler than people. Let's put it first. They don't know. They themselves actually don't know. But the idea comes from that in the Big Bang, when there's an explosion, what happens is that's part of the leftover of the explosion. So it's sort of like the shock wave or the sound wave that spread across, or it's, the energy, quote unquote, which of course energy doesn't exist. It's a concept, but stuff in waves is there because of this explosion. So that's why. So if it was a quiet universe, we wouldn't see this background radiation or something going on. Okay, now how do we explain that in our new way, that the critical thinkers, people like myself, it's pretty simple. Space isn't empty. Some people think it's filled with ether. We think it's filled with particles, but of course, ether are particles. So in that sense, it's the same. But they, again, ether says it's, like waves through water. We say it's not waves, it's waves of particles. That is, to make a light wave, you have to have lots more particles. There cannot be a photon, because you need waves of particles to create what we consider to be light. So somebody like Borkert will say, in fact, if you look at my why does the universe exist, I actually do that via Borkert, use what he talks about. Basically, you have to have stuff. You can't have empty space. It's impossible, because if there's a universe, there's something in it. You can't have nothing. And well, there are empty parts of space and there are filled parts of space, but every piece of space has something in it. It's not 100% space. It's not 100% mass. So what they say is the radiation is the leftover. Let's think of it as almost like when you make an explosion, there's smoke that's left. I mean, it dissipates, but the residual's still there. That's what they say. And again, they don't know because it's so unclear. Their models are all fictitious. There's almost no physicality to any of the models they have. So that's what it is. That's what they say. It's the leftover from the explosion. And let's see. I find it easier to imagine an infinite unit than a finite one. Yeah, that's something people. Yeah, I mean, the idea that if you just keep traveling, that you're gonna. I mean, Greg Volk, great friend of mine, he thinks that things are in loops, and when you keep traveling for whatever reason, you end up back where you were. I haven't traveled a cajillion miles in the universe to be able to prove or disprove that. But my own opinion, that's not true. Agreed. Let's see, James Lamb. Could light redshift all the way to the to microwave radiation? That's a good question. Is it the case that that it starts out sort of visible light, and then visible light changes? The answer is depends on your model. According to our model, no. What will happen is things just sort of dissipate, which makes sort of sense. The redshift comes more from the frequency that things slow down, and it doesn't, because lights are waves of particles, those things, the frequency in between those will change as it goes further and further, because they will slow down. Okay, there's G2 particles underneath to keep them going, but there is C is an average, that kind of stuff, etc., etc. So the answer to that question is depends on your model. Our model, I think, would say no. I'm not going to say 100% that would be true, but I would say, again, it all depends on your model. Let's see if I can do something here. Alrighty. Article models, theories. And models, I'm going to go here on the internet. See if my father's been working on this. Here we go. Here's the particle model. Let's see, recent changes. History. Have we done this very recently? Oh, Bob de Hilster has worked on this 22nd. We haven't worked on it for a little bit. But particle model is here. Ooh, equations and everything. We're starting to, we're not even close to getting stuff here, but we got a lot. I've got diagrams and everything to put in here. We're gonna end up writing a book. I told my dad, I said, for our model, what would happen? What would be an encyclopedic entry for the particle model we came up with? And very, very interesting, very interesting. So we have lots of work to do on that, but that's pretty cool. So anyways, you should talk someday about the famous acts of evil and Earth again at the center of the universe. Not sure what that comment's really about, but again, the idea is, why can't I get, so I guess my whole thing is I need to motivate the heck, keep on top of people, those people who I can get to write stuff, to write it, and people always tell me they can't do it. They spend way more time, much time telling me how they can't do it when they could have at least tried to do it. Because basically, to help me out with the website, you have to be able to go to type in a URL, sciencewoke.org, and then hit the login button. I give you a login, and then at that point, you will have actually you will navigate to the page that will already be made, and you start putting your article there and start writing. Okay, Dave tasked me with writing about the redshift, and he's even put in certain sections, and then I need to go in and write it and do some research and make some interesting story about it. Talk with Dave. I can help you with that. I'm actually good at writing and making it interesting sounding. I've showed you some of the profiles that we have on our website, the interesting stories. What is the interesting story? I can even talk to people about it. It says, this is the interesting story, and get people to help, write these things. So that if I go on somebody like Nico House or Jimmy Dore or other people, there's a couple of secular, I can't remember, there's the Soapbox by that one Jamal guy. He's pretty good. Those guys are growing like leaps and bounds, and it'd be great. I could get on there and says, hey, here's David de Hilster, the progressive scientist, the Bernie Sanders of science. That's me. I'll tell you the truth. I'm the one standing up there while all these articles go by. I've got some really great articles that people are sending me that I am going to do some. There's a couple of them that talk about how mainstream science is telling us we could all be wrong, but then when you go and read it, you go, yeah, I mean, what they say there is wrong. It's just like a little piece, and like say, not like what we know is right, like the Big Bang and particle physics, and no, it's really quite amazing that when the moment you think that they really think it's all wrong and that they could really say, they finally became critical thinkers, and they're going to say, we got to throw all this stuff away. No, it's not true. So please don't crack up with this question, but what do they call the model that supposedly is in play at the moment? Like, what does mainstream science label their model? That's not a bad question at all. It is called the standard model, and let me tell you, there is a fight going on. If you look at my video, let's see if I can get to that video here on my channel, YouTube.Dissident Science.com. I'll go to that here, and I think what it's called is, I think it was the one that I did, just the recent one. It was either the no, it's most likely it was the one. It's called the Large Hadron Collider 10th Birthday, Sound of Silence. It's about 20 minutes long, and in there, Lisa, I do talk about that. Right now, there has been a fight in mainstream science. They still call it the standard model. But there's been another model they call supersymmetry. And supersymmetry was the idea is that they looked at all the particles they had, and then they decided to make it into some type of chart and some table. Believe me, I'm not dumbing this down. This is what they do. They make them, they look at them, they look at the types and the flavors, all those arbitrary attributes they put to them. Don't ever think that you don't understand it, because they're unintelligible. They mean nothing anyways. And then they made this table. And in that table, they called, okay, there has to be symmetry. For this particle, there has to be an antiparticle. For this particle, there's going to be this particle. For this particle, there's going to be this particle. And that supersymmetry, which was supposedly the next one after the standard model, which is basically electrons, protons, neutrons, quarks, which there are 6 flavors, which they all have different attributes, which don't make any sense. Because, and again, quarks, which are a lot more, and then they have below that they have other things, and then they find the Higgs boson. They find there's other particles. They call it, there's the neutrino, which is also invented. All those kinds of things. So that was sort of the particle model. So when you see the standard particle model, you can go look that up on the internet, and you'll get the famous chart of the standard model, and you see all the particles, and they're all their little places. Well, supersymmetry came along, and the hope is that their whole idea that the universe is going to be beautifully symmetrical. That for every proton there's an antiproton, for an electron there's an anti-electron. And that's why they call antimatter, and they try to figure out, well, why did the Big Bang all produce just regular matter? It's just stupid. It's all stupid. There's only matter. There's only matter. There's only matter. There's not positive matter, negative matter. There's only matter and particles and things moving. That's all there is. But what they did is the supersymmetry sets up this table and then predicts a plethora of new particles. Why? Because in each particle represents a Nobel Prize. I can win the Nobel Prize, and therefore I can win my $2 million, and everybody can come worship me, and I can say the craziest stuff because I'm smarter than you are, and so no matter how crazy, I can just accuse you of being stupid, not accuse my ideas of being stupid, which is the real truth. So basically you had standard model, supersymmetry. The last 10 years, if you go and look at the HLC, you will see I talk about infighting, Lisa. Go back and watch that again. I talk about infighting, and that infighting comes from the supersymmetry, the standard model experimental physicists. This is bizarre. But the experimental physicists think theoretical physicists don't know anything because they've got the machines. They see the real stuff, which they don't see. They only see trails of something happening. And they sit there and they fight. So you had the standard model and the experimentalists who are in the Large Hadron Collider, the Stanford Linear Collider, the CERN Collider, all of those. And they were... the supersymmetry people are coming along and says, okay, collider people, you're going to find all these new particles. Then and if you look at the 10th anniversary article and the one I go over, they say, no, no, no. In that article, I answer that question, Lisa, and it said, and the guy says, no, like Jim Carrey, you guys are so stupid. Supersymmetry is obviously disproven because we don't find all your particles. So we're going to go back to our standard model. And they also sort of fight with the string people somewhat, although you got Neil deGrasse Tyson, a religious, I call it a science religion person, a person who is a science evangelist out there, evangelizing and telling you the truth. Well, they sit there and they say, oh yeah, it breaks down relativity, general relativity breaks down at the center of black holes and the beginning of the Big Bang. Therefore, we're going to need strings, and strings, of course, go watch that on strings. Is, oh my gosh, the only thing worse than strings is quantum mechanics, and I haven't torn that one apart yet. I will. Anyways, so the answer to your question is the standard model there have been proposed other models. The supersymmetry has sort of been put by the wayside, and they are looking for the next model, but it's got to build on top of the model before it. That's the rule. The rule is Einstein was popular because if he took all of the equations and you made nothing moving, that is, if this mass is not moving and standing still, you can use Newton, and Newton's laws work fine. The moment it moves, got to use Einstein. Oh, the moment you go into the middle of a black hole, can't use Einstein anymore. You got to use something else. So they get this idea. They have this idea that you can't throw something out. Yes, you can. You can throw out all particle physics except for the electron and the actually neutron, proton. Even mainstream science is starting to look at maybe there are no protons. Maybe it's only no electrons. No, electrons and protons, not neutrons. I'm sorry, got it wrong. We just call them, to us, protons and neutrons. There's no, if there are two different particles, which actually even particle physics today is showing that there's probably only one, and that's the proton, then of course it's not a proton anymore because you don't need the charge. But anyways, I hope that answers your question. Standard models still being challenged. Supersymmetry, they're sort of starting to throw that out. Can't find the particles. They're looking for other things. I don't keep on top of it too much because there's so much to be on top of. Oh, the the progressive soapbox and secular talk. You know all our guys. Yay! Yeah, Lisa. So do you think, hey Lisa, answer this question for me. Do you think, like, if we get like the website done, this the Science Woke website, when it's really, really cool, and it's got all the stuff that like a person like yourself can go there and in a couple hours kind of sort of see everything and see the pictures. Oh, here are the problems with science, and you can read about it in these articles. We have them all there. You think that maybe if they would like get on there, that maybe the progressives would sort of like this? I think they would. That would be a great thing. Nice Earth model. Absolutely it is. For those people who see it all the time. This model was handcrafted and made for me as a gift, and I'm absolutely serious. This is one of the most prized possessions I actually have. Except for my own artwork, this to me, this is a model of the Earth today in the geology according to regular geology, but this is the expanding Earth model but right now, and it was handmade by Dr. James Maxwell, one of the great scientists, if not the greatest geologist that may have ever lived. He stands on the shoulders of great geologists like Samuel Warren Carey. So yeah, that's a cool thing. I love watching you read Wiki. You and I start laughing. High five, high five, absolutely. So true. I think that's one of the things that's what I see my role is giving a voice to a lot of people who will do the same thing when they read it. I think the only difference is that I can bring to it a little bit more is that I've hung out with enough scientists who have seen the problems that I can give you some examples and answers to what we would say, people who have gone beyond it, who've not only recognized and laughed at it, figured out what's wrong with it, corrected it, and who are doing new models, just like I say. Boy, I'm repeating what I say. So there you go. Great. I don't know how useful they are. Sometimes I think they're just cathartic, because you just want it cathartic. You just want to say, I'm going to go with, because it's really frustrating. Because if I try to show my friends, look at this, and I start reading, they go, I don't get it. Wow, I'm super excited that I asked the question about the model. Yeah, absolutely. I really thought it was kind of a dumb question. No. Usually our dumb questions are the best questions because we think they're basic, but the basic questions are the most important. My dad asked the question, does the moon rotate? Now, when you first think it, you go, what a stupid thing. Of course it doesn't. Look, it's the same side. Not true. Because the moon does rotate. It depends on what point of view you're looking at it. I guess it jazzed things up tonight. Yeah, absolutely. Jazzed. Cool. Whoa, 12 people. Hey, thank you very much for coming by. I do appreciate all you guys subscribing. If you have any questions, then put them below. My goal here is to answer any questions you have. The difference you're going to find here with me is that I'm going to answer questions, not only say what's wrong with it, why it's wrong, but also be able to give you some alternative answers that people who have very brilliant minds who have thought about this stuff. So what I'm really ranting and raving on tonight is, why can't I get more people to help me get the word out? I have a website that I need a lot of help with, and I'm starting to convince myself what I need to do is just focus on it and pound the heck out of people constantly. Say, you are going to write this now. You are going to do this, and have you done it, please? And just keep pounding on them, because I can't do it all. My brain gets really just tired. I just can't do it. If I'm ready, I can go to an article and I can start writing, and I can really write some great stuff, but eventually my brain just, I can't do this all the time, full blast all the time with all the other things we all do in life. So why, I need to get the science woke up so I can go on maybe even progressive political station, YouTube channels, and really ramp up the subscribers on this so that we can get more of a group of people that are looking at this. And I think one of the things I did want to say to you guys was, and those of you watching now, and then also who are watching this recorded, is I want you guys to understand not to go out there with this attitude that Draft Science said, for instance. I'm only using him as an example. He's not the only one, but he says there's only one truth out there. Right now, we're in a part of the Kuhnian. Thomas Kuhn wrote the Structure of Scientific Revolution. It's a very famous book. There's sort of a Kuhn cycle. This is what I wrote. I think I'm probably the first to be saying this, and this is what is on my website in science.org, and I will start putting this theme out there. We are in the model revolution, in a Kuhnian cycle of a paradigm shift. What does that all mean? Well, science has to change because we're stuck. We've been stuck over 100 years, and that shifting is actually gets to the point where the model doesn't work and we need new models. Believe it or not, the model revolution that we are in is over 400 years old, and we still haven't solved it. We have atoms and those things that we found, but the actual model of the revolution, which is to tell you what gravity and light are, we do not have a physicality for that. And because we don't have a physicality for that, it's not over. And because it's not over, because we're in a scientific revolution, we're in a scientific revolution, and we're in the part that's a model revolution, that means we are going to have a time where the data supports parallel models. What does that mean? That means these models are all going to be acceptable until one of them shines. And that's where we are. And what you guys need to do is understand that. And that is a great revelation that took me over 20 years to come up with. And it was only this year I came up with that, because I was writing the Science Woke website. And I was saying, where are we in this Kuhnian? And I actually changed it 4 weeks ago because I realized that we are in a model shift of 400 years. We have been trying for 400 years. We've been talking about ether. We've been talking about gravitons. We are still not there yet. My dad and I's particle model is getting much closer, in my opinion. The ether models are good. None of us are right yet. We'll be right when one of those win. And the only way one of those are going to win is if you guys look at them. And you look at them saying, I'm going to give every model a chance. Now, I don't believe in ether, or I don't believe in the particle model. Ether's right, you're wrong. That's where I'm going to tell you, then you are no better than mainstream, because you're going to be stuck sitting on your theory. And while you sit on your theory, like New and Glenn Borkert, they are great scientists, but my dad and I have taken both of those guys, put together with my dad's third idea, and I think we're doing better than those guys now. In my opinion, And I tell everybody, don't stand still on anything. So what I'm telling you guys is, you guys need to know about these models. That's why I need to have this. And if you want to know about them, here's a real good way to do it. Hey, Dave, I'm going to send you an email at david@dissidentscience.com, and I'm going to help you. I don't know anything about it. I'm not a writer. I'm terrible with websites, Lisa. And I am going to help you anyways, because I'm going to learn about it. It's like doing a report. How many of us, that's all this is. We're doing articles as if, you don't have to understand everything about it, but you have to understand the basics of it. I'm there as the executive editor. I'll help you. I'll make it even sound better. You can write it in. I'll go and massage the words. My brain gets tired of coming up with all these great things. All that. Oh, I don't want to say that. It sounds really egotistical. But I mean, coming up with really nice ways and fun ways to talk about stuff, getting to the essence of that stuff. I'm good at that. But my brain is like only this big. It's getting older, although I feel great. So you guys, if you want to learn about it, you like the electric universe, then hey, help me write an article about the electric universe and do it in a positive way. Not to do it as positive as possible. Look at all these great things. So that if a person comes to a website, they can go click on it. Oh, electric universe. Oh, that's a theory that some people are putting out there. Well, what's it about? Let me read about it in a way that's really positive. Not one that says, they all think this, and oh, Velikovsky's off his rocker. Okay, smarty pants like anybody. Were you here 30,000 years ago to know if Venus came in flying from wherever? You're not here. Do you have any video evidence of that? So I'm not saying I personally don't believe it, but I'm going to tell you, I will not do like Neil deGrasse Tyson say it's out of the realm. Absolutely, it's in the realm of possibilities. And we have to test it. If they're going to keep getting evidence for it, and if they convince everybody, and the evidence looks good, then it's going to be right. So, wow, I'm super excited that I asked the question about the model. Oh, wait, we already did that one. A couple of minutes behind. You just asked a question. Jamal Thomas would be the most inclined because he does a lot of you. Oh, he does? Oh, that's a good idea, but I still need this website. Good. Thank you very much. Thank you, Lisa. I'm not into UFOs myself, but it doesn't matter. Again, my take on it is go for it. The rules of life is go for it. If you believe there's UFOs and you think there's evidence, go for it. If we can explain everything else in a different way, in what I call more of just a regular scientific physics way, that's okay. But go for it. That's what we're here for. We need everybody's ideas. Sounding like an old man now. Do you have a domain already? I'm working on expanding Earth simulation that runs in the browser. Oh yeah, I remember, James. Absolutely, that's so cool. Why don't we have Google? Google should be making a Google Earth that expands over time, that you can literally put a slider on and put in the time, and then people can plot stuff on it. Paleontologists, people who study plants, ancient plants, and the paleogravity people, which we don't have yet, which we need. That would be cool. I love that. It would be nice to have a place to put it. Well, you've got a place to put it. Absolutely. We have naturalphilosophy.org. I will be happy with James to work with you on that, get you out there. You should be out there working on it, and people should know about your stuff. And the way you do that is you become a member of our organization. It's $35 if you are 65 and above. It's $50 a month. No, $50 a year. Become a formal member. Then what we do is you can write articles about it on our blog. You can put your entry in there. We can talk about it. You can do a paper on it. Absolutely. Please, please. I've had this idea of this, as many people have, this whole idea. For sure. I have a theory. If the average person could try to construct Pangea on the Earth, present the radius then on a smaller Earth. Oh, absolutely. I had an experiment here Okay. I tried it. Didn't work. See this? This is a styrofoam ball. I then took clay and put it on a big earth. I then took the earth and I got the ratio of the earth where James Maxwell said this size compared to the globe I had, which is a 12-inch globe. If I take all the continents and I put clay on it, I can put them all on here and they'd all fit together on a ball. It worked to a certain point. It's not easy because there's some shifts that go on. So, yeah, absolutely. But I think most people, when they see even just Neil Adams videos, you really got to work hard not to believe expansion tectonics. You really have to work hard at it, in my opinion. Some comments about James there. What would the proposed mechanism for expansion of the Earth? Oh, there's many, and actually, that's where our group comes in, because we care about that. First of all, that's what the straw man that they put up. Straw man, what's that? That's something that you put up as an obstacle that's not real. Oh, look at the straw man. Look at the real guy. It's not a real guy. So you're trying to put up something and pretend he's a guy, and he's not. And you're going to tell him, well, you got to tear this down before you can do anything. Well, the straw man they're putting up is that we have no mechanism for the matter, Earth gaining matter. Well, the conventional wisdom would be it comes from comets. It comes from there's so many tons of space debris that hits our Earth every year, but it's not nearly enough to have an expanding Earth. Now, the Earth is not only expanding, it's gaining in mass. We know that because of things like studying the dinosaur and Stephen Hurl. Look up Stephen Hurl. I've got an interview with him. Read his book. Absolutely must reading for every person who even cares about science. Anybody who ever studies science should read that book. And so what are the mechanisms? I'll give you some that some people have proposed. Neil Adams, the guy who has actually, he talked at our event, our own conference numbers of years back at the University of Maryland. He was there. And he has pair production. That is, two photons or something come together and you create matter out of it. Just look up pair production. Don't quote me because my mind gets full of so many things I don't remember. But pair production is something that was observed. And the idea is that he says mass increase comes from pair production. And therefore, out of sort of pure energy comes mass. Of course, we would say differently, but it doesn't matter. That pair production is one. Look it up on Wikipedia. It is what he claims is happening that causes mass increase. James Maxwell could not get an answer from our group that he was satisfied with, so he's been working with people, and he says that matter from the sun being spewed out from the sun that comes toward us, that matter comes into the poles, into both poles, and then gets combined again and recombined to make atoms. That's what we believe too, our particle model. What we believe is happening is that the sun is blowing apart atoms. That is, here's an atom, and we get free-flowing protons coming our way, like alpha particles or protons. Those protons get spit out. They get sucked up into the gravitational, the magnetic field of the Earth. And in fact, we believe that most of them, there are some that could come in all around the Earth, but we believe that a lot of them come in through the southern part because the particles of the Earth are right now going from out the North Pole, coming around and back into the South Pole. That is a path of the way we call G1 particles, or electrons, or electricity, whatever you want to call it. It's all the same particles, smaller most likely. And then what happens is those protons that are free flow, protons that is not an atom. It's the nucleus of an atom, or part of a nucleus of an atom. It's floating through space, gets caught up, and we build an atom out of it. There you go. That's probably the most standard explanation in our group. So there you go. Since the growth is exponential, it means that the rate of growth is proportional to the size. That means the bigger the Earth gets, the bigger it has. Yeah. There's some truth to that, but I also, in my own opinion, believe it's not just the regular mass, because I think it also there are internal things going on that are happening chemically. So you have expansion, you have gases, you have a lot of stuff going on. In fact, one of the theories is for expanding Earth or growing Earth is it's probably expansion is just expansion tectonics is just the name that it was put on by Dr. James Maslow. Dr. James Maslow says mass is increasing, so you can call it a growing Earth, growing as well. And I know Neil Adams gets all bent out of shape with that, and that's fine. But basically, I think, my own opinion, what's happening is mass isn't increasing, but we also are having a thermal nuclear thing going on where the volume is increasing, perhaps faster than the mass itself at this case in that exponential part. But if you look at Jupiter, you look at the gas planets, one of the theories is with expansion tectonics and the universe has things growing. The moon's growing, the Earth's growing, Venus is growing, Mars is growing, Pluto's growing. You can even see that the moons of Jupiter are growing. That the Jupiter was like the Earth, and that it came to a point where the expansion, then it just ruptures, the gases come out, the gravity keeps it around there, and then the moons are captured. Those are also growing from asteroids or whatever, and those turn in. So then the Jupiter turns into a sun. These orbits are going further away. The believe it or not, the moon is moving away a quarter inch a year or something like that, or 2 centimeters a year. Don't quote me on that, but it is moving away. So the Jupiter eventually, it's got moons. It's like a solar system there. And those things are growing too. And then it'll ignite into a sun, and then you go through all these cycles, and that goes through chemical thing, and then it does it, all those kinds of things. So it's quite amazing. It's a fascinating part. This is what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about black holes and event horizons and making movies where it's stupid. There's much more exciting. This is way more exciting. I'm going to have to get going here in maybe about, I will get a phone call. If you hear a phone call and you hear me signing off, it's because I've got to go pick up my daughter whose birthday is tomorrow, and et cetera, et cetera. So I'm doing it in between that right now. So I may end this quickly. I think the law of square and cubes would point to the growth slowing once doubling of the radius. You know, all I would say is Ganymede obviously expanding. Yeah, Ganymede. Yeah, go watch Neil Adams videos on that. What I would say to you guys, and what I would say to you, Marcia, my eyes get a little foggy as the day goes on, but the gentleman or person who said, I don't want to say it's gentleman, Alondro, that's the end of your name. You're saying that you're talking about doubling the mass, and it's going to be sort of be real careful. Here's what I would say to you: don't waste your time on getting into cyclic things right now. We have way too much to deal with before we get there. So you are getting into a minutia, in my opinion, that's a little too far right now. We have to know much more about which models we're really using before we can say that. I would much rather if you were to say that to me, you said, look, oh Dave, I subscribe to the particle model that you and your father are proposing, and because of this is what's happening. And this is why I think that there's going to be a cycle there. I think it's too far. We're not there yet. Be careful. I see a lot of people who are dissident scientists, who are critical thinkers, who are science woke people, who go out and they get into this area, and they're all in the small details and minutiae of this and that. And I said, folks, we can't all agree on what light is. Step back a little bit. Be careful not to go too far. Do you know how much Air pressure would be required to keep dinos alive. That's a question I don't know. You know what I'd like to see? It's a good question. What I'd like to see is that the three-dimensional programs they use, there's physics engines. When you use 3D graphics, when people generate 3D graphics for even like Jurassic Park, they put in what they call physics engines. They have to adjust those physics engines so that they look like and act like they're in regular G gravity. But what they're doing in reality is not doing that. They are putting things in there and making them look as if their intuitions would say that these dinosaurs, these humongous dinosaurs that are 5 stories tall, 6, 7 stories tall, would move in this way, and they'd move slow. If we were to put in the rules of physics and put in the real masses of these dinosaurs, they would all be laying on the ground like big blobs of like whales sitting on the beach. You don't see a whale going, you know, it's like this big mass sitting there. So that's what I'd really like to see, is somebody take the physics engines and put dinosaurs into that and say, here is what they would be doing in our gravity, and you turn up the gravity and they just end up falling to the ground. They can't stand up anymore. That would be really cool. So anyways, coming up to an hour and a half. I'm going to be probably leaving soon. If you have, I would say, could be in the next 15 minutes. I was told at 11 o'clock I would have to get a phone call to go. I'd have to leave. But again, if you want to help out with the website, that would be great, because I think I'm getting lots of inroads. I really do want to thank Lisa, because that's one of the things I've thought for over a year. What inspired me, Lisa, this is really interesting if you're still there. If not, you can see this later on, was that this YouTube channel and how to do the YouTube channels and the success of YouTube channels, all of that came from me being a progressive politically and seeing people like Nico House starting out with almost nobody and now have thousands of people. The difference is, obviously, this is a harder subject because so many people who like science pride themselves in knowing the latest, even though they don't understand a thing about it, and they don't have anybody out there except me talking about this necessarily. There are more voices out there. So I would love to see, you know, I got my inspiration to do these channels, and I learned about how channels and YouTube channels work by studying and watching the progressive build their audience. And I said, you know, there's got to be an audience for people who think big science is screwed up, is screwing us up. And they're right that, hey, we've been, the wool's been pulled over our eyes and everything else. Why not physics and cosmology? And there we go. And so, but what's interesting is that this leap to actually use that, because they talk about critical thinking all the time. In fact, we are owners of criticalthinkers.info. So we even have that as but critical thinking is not only science, right? So, oh, thank you very much. Yep, she's 13. My daughter's, I think she's going to be on Broadway, I'll be honest about it. She is that good. She grew up in a samba school, and we know we're not Broadway actors. I do music and stuff like that, and she grew up around music, but she is, since 3 and 4, she's been a natural actress. She was doing improv and belting. Belting is when you sing those loud voices like you do on stage at 4. Then she gave it up and then she came back with a vengeance in 6th, 7th grade. So pretty cool. What am I talking about? Sorry. Gotta talk about science. Anyways, what else? I will continue. I'm going to see if I can try to do more live stuff, just because it's going to force me to get things out there. Because, you know, I keep holding stuff. And when I go through stuff and I actually clip it out and I look at it, it does get me more focused, because I've had that problem, especially in the beginning, where I would just talk and I would just sort of go on stuff. And I found myself sometimes looking at things and really having to rethink them. I don't know. I need to find a way to get more things out. I think it's just been because I've been super busy with samba stuff. Some successes here in Florida with it, and you know, you just get busy. It's good to get away from things too, because I got frustrated. Like, yeah, I want to go on these shows and get, you know, I've got an idea that would get millions of people our way, but we haven't. Where would they go? They got to go to Science Woke. You know, that's what I have here, Science Woke, but you know, not here yet. It's not done. Oh, there's Halton Arp. That's pretty nice. Look at this guy. Put in Halton Arp. See else. Oh, there's NASA physicist Dr. Edward Dowdy. NASA scientist uses observational analysis to show gravity does not bend light. What? There's Jeff Yee. Greatly simplifies the standard model. Absolutely true. Here's Dr. William Lucas. This is the site that we have. Unified the four forces of nature. The guy did. He absolutely did. Replaces the Big Bang with an infinite universe. Here is a former Supreme Court justice with his own physics theory. It's pretty interesting. Ether. Ron Hatch, GPS scientist. 30 plus patents in GPS, and says GPS reveals problems in special relativity. Look at this. Boy, wouldn't this be interesting? And then you click on it. Oh, let me show you. I'll get you, show you how this all works. Click on this guy. And it talks about him. Mind blown. NASA scientists use observation. Okay, that's what I already said. Profession, laser optics physicist and electronics engineer, retired. Interest, general relativity. Education, Hampton University. Oh, and he speaks fluent German, reads Einstein in its original form and says he didn't say a lot of the stuff that people say he said. Discovered that light doesn't bend in plasma-free space. And it talks about this. And then here are articles about it. Here are all his papers about it. And then I have an article, and these are the articles I'm having us write, which is, and you can see it's not done. I worked on, and I said, hey, I need your help on this. So that's how that works. Let's see if I have some other ones here. This is sort of, I've got it smashed down, so problems in science. Oh, this is good. So let's look at the Big Bang. Big Bang, severity, fatal. That's what it talks about it. Observational. And then I've related other explanations for redshift. Galaxy distribution doesn't support the Big Bang theory. And then here are 57 articles that that we have that are technical articles. But here, anything that I write and I attach it to with the Big Bang category will automatically appear here. So that's pretty cool. And so we're writing these so that these are not things that are going to be hard to understand. Tired light. It says, look, tired light here. Infinity. Bork's explanation here. Ah, I need help. And this one, like I say, expanding universe, stuff and junk. Steady state universe, stuff and junk. Conclusion. See, it's all here. It's all waiting to be there. And that's just the Big Bang. See, it's all organized. I've got it all sitting there. Oh, black holes, relativity. I think that's one. I've got stuff with that too. Related art. NASA scientist says coronas bend light, not gravity. And there it is. It's there. It's in the same one, but you get to it in a different way. But see, that's the idea. Here we'll talk about how this guy, this NASA scientist, is saying, hey, it's not really happening the way we think it is, and it has nothing to do with relativity. Plate tectonics. Do I have some with that? Oh, here's one. Dinosaurs and Expanding Earth. Growing Earth videos of Neil Adams. And I'm going to put more stuff there. James Maxwell stuff. And any programs that people are working on. Hey, here's a guy who's working on a program. Dark matter. I think I have. Do I have something on here? Yeah, I do. Properly applying a Newton's gravity to galaxies eliminates the need for dark matter. What? We can use Newton? Not even Einstein? But see, that's what we're going to do. So, point mass. See, I start all these. I know that these what we need to say. I can't do it all. Again, send me a couple million. I will do it. And then I've also been, you can see the number of abstracts and technical papers. This is a really great one by my father. recommend you subscribe to my father's channel, Particle Guru, and he's got some great stuff that he's been talking about, sort of under the radar, way under the radar. I think if our model takes off, then people will listen to him. So that's what we've been doing. And of course I have a blog, and in the blog I have really great articles. And these are the articles that you see. They're all available there. But I have some that are the big ones. Why mainstream science sees no crisis. And I'm writing these. These are, look at this: money, jobs, and making a living, recognition, politics. Actually, these I'm actively working on. Becoming science woke. I think I've shown this even before. This is really cool. I love this diagram. Our objective, to be science woke. I love the graphics too. Hey, I did them, but it's still, I like them. I can do stuff I like, I guess. Community, critical thinkers. Home, natural philosophy. It took me a long time to come up with that, and that's really cool. It tells about what's being it is, what you should do, and then I have all these will all be links to all those things. So if you want to start out being science woke, and I love this guy's picture. Stole it. I'm sure I've copyright problems, but come after me. That means you're actually paying attention. In the blog, I also have this other one, which is really a seminal, 2 other articles. This one I've probably shown before. This one is great. This one to me is David de Hilster made a great observation, and that's this here. So I don't want to show it all. You guys gotta help. Not you guys. You guys help by being here. So, oh, we have new theories, and we're going to have new theory comparisons. Particle model, universal cycle model, autodynamics, the infinite universe theory, energy wave theory, fractals and black holes, prime matter particles. That's his theory. That's Neil Adams. There he is, world famous comic cartoonist with his own theory of the universe. Come on, you got to be interested in that. And then I actually will have more of those. And then I actually have a comparison of theories, which I'm really having a hard time because I needed people. I'm going to have to do it on our own because they won't even do it for themselves here. But anyways, pretty cool. Anything else? Blog, new theories. Yeah. So that's really the site. You come on, and there's actually some more articles that I didn't see. The revolution, that's a really big one. Mainstream science sees no crisis. Yeah, I think I showed you. I did. That one's a really good article. Well, so these are going to help people who are just becoming science woke or want to become science woke. They're going to be able to go in there. Well, what's wrong with physics? Okay, and then you can click on those and see, and then read articles. It tells you about it. It tells you about real scientists who tell you why it's wrong. Who are the scientists who are critical thinkers that I should be paying attention to? Give me some interesting people. And so that the idea is that you don't have to have an PhD from MIT. But, so you guys don't have anybody who's got a PhD. You guys are all amateurs. Okay. Dr. Cynthia Whitney, physicist, editor of the Galilean Electrodynamics, female with PhD from MIT in physics and relativity, who is now a critic of relativity. She is our chief science officer of the CMPS, and she is a brilliant woman. So yes, she got a PhD from MIT. I would say that chalks up the title. Of course, then what's Einstein? Einstein is a patent clerk who sort of backed into physics. Today, he would not be accepted. That's my contention. Einstein stuff would not be accepted today. It's too bad he didn't come up with it today. Okay. Happy birthday, Papa. We're glad. So, anyways, the site looks really nice, Dave. Thank you for doing this for us. Good night. All right, folks, let's see. I got 8 people. Again, if you have any questions, you can put them down below. If not, I'm going to be taking off here soon. I'll just say, if you have been here, I know there's 8 people, it looks like here. Have any questions, I can answer those for you. Again, any suggestions at any time. If you want to help at all, contact me, David at dissidentscience.org. If you want to just tell people about me, that's great. Let people know about this. My goal is, again, I don't criticize anybody. I actually applaud anybody who's coming up with their own theory. Anybody who is getting critical thinkers out there who question mainstream science. And no, we're not just crazy people. We're not like, people who just come up and ignore science. We are, in fact, to be a critical thinker, to be in the CMPS, you have to understand science better than mainstream. That's how you can recognize errors. That's how you can, find those errors and recognize them. That's how you can correct those errors or throw something out completely and come up with new models, because you've looked at the status quo. You can't get from A to B without that. It's not somebody in there who's a surfer dude who comes up with 256 circle kind of thing with 256 variables and makes, that's like the guy, you know what they all keep saying in their articles? They're waiting for some young person to come along to give them the next tablets from on high. And that's the way, it never works that way. So, alrighty. Good night, good evening. Thank you so much. Remember what I say, stay critical, stay thinking. I'm David de Hilster. I'm your science therapist. Thank you so much, you subscribers. Thank you. Let people know about them. Spread the word. Want to help? Let me know. Ciao for now.